Sports coupes. They should combine style with impressive performance and fun handling, yet be easy enough to live with every day.
So let's say you've got around £35,000 to spend. Should you get an all-wheel drive Audi TT Quattro, a BMW M235i, or a slice of American apple pie? The Ford Mustang V8. Oh yeah, US muscle. Hurrah!
To help you decide, I'm going to compare their design,
It is the prettiest car here.
critique their cabins,
It's as if it's been formed out of recycled food cartons.
test what they're like to drive, and see how practical they are.
Ah! That's all I have to say about that, really.
But first, let's talk about their technology. Well, BMW gets off to a great start with its iDrive system, which is just so simple and easy to use. It's well connected to and has a concierge service at your beck and call. Plus, it's the only car where satellite navigation is standard. However, the Audi TT manages to upstage the BMW with its brilliant virtual cockpit. It may not be quite as easy to navigate as BMW's system, but that fully digital display right in your eye line is just amazing. And then there's the Ford, with its Sync 2 touchscreen system, which feels a bit like a Windows phone compared to the Samsung and Apple offerings of the Germans. It's just harder to use and the screen duller and low resolution.
I can't fault the upgraded sound system. It's absolutely banging, innit? But the interior quality, well, it's just miles behind the other two cars. I mean, look at this, right? It's as if it's been formed out of recycled food cartons.
This is a shame, as the design is, well, it's kind of cool. There's a retro Americana feel to it, though next to the sensible European cars, there's something a little bit child's toy about the cabin. The BMW is more austere. Only a few flashes of M badges here and there and a sporty steering wheel let you know you're in something a little bit special. But the quality is on another level, and in keeping with something costing £35,000.
But really, it's the Audi TT which feels the most special of the three to sit in. So the quality, it beats even that of the BMW, and yet it's more sporty inside than the Mustang.
There are some really cool features, such as how the air vents house the climate controls, though that is an extra. But still, the TT is a lovely place to spend time. Comparing these cars' exterior design is tougher than their interiors, as they are so very different, and beauty, after all, is in the eye of the beholder.
The BMW is a good-looking car, but it's the one most likely to slip under the radar. There's absolutely no chance of that happening in the Ford Mustang, though. It's as big as Texas, and you'll stand out like you're driving down the road in a giant Stetson. The Audi, it's got a crisp, neat design and some cool features like pulsing indicator lights. It is the prettiest car here, but it's the least manly.
But does that extend to the performance? Well, the Audi's 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo has the least. It delivers 230 horsepower and 370 Nm of torque. You can get a 300 horsepower TTS model, but it's £5,000 over our 35 grand budget. And anyway, this car's Quattro system means it can still do 0 to 62 miles an hour in just 5.3 seconds. The BMW's 3-litre straight-six turbo has 326 horsepower and 450 Nm of torque, plus it can hit 62 miles an hour in just 5 seconds dead. Meanwhile, the Mustang has a naturally aspirated 5-litre V8 with 416 horsepower and 530 Nm of torque. 0 to 62 takes just 4.8 seconds. So, it's all closely matched, but what happens in a race from the lights?
The other two cars are automatics, and they both have launch control. Now, this is a manual, and it has launch control to a fashion. It allows you to set your maximum revs, but you still have to do the clutch and the gear, so I'm just not going to bother with it. I'm going to try and rely on my own skills. Let's see what happens. I've got a good start. They may have launch control, but I was on first. It's a nice gear change. Blimey heck, that TT, is it going to beat the Bimmer? I definitely want that. Oh, that was close. Thought the TT was actually going to beat the BMW, but it came on song at the end. But still, despite not having launch control, this big old American muscle car wins the day.
Now, that was obviously a little bit silly, and if you want to be even more silly, then the rear-drive BMW and Ford are the way to go. The Ford even has something called line lock, which holds the front brake so you can destroy the rear tyres. The Audi, however, is far more sensible. Well, unless you want to carry rear passengers, then it's ridiculous.
It's a nightmare to get into the back, and once you're in, that's all I have to say about that, really.
With a TT, you're best just folding the seats down and then have it as a very practical 2-seater sports car with a large hatchback boot. Though you'll need to put a seat back if you want to fit a child seat, which is a real struggle to do, while in-car storage is, well, it's only just okay. The Mustang's even worse though. The door bins are useless and the cup holders get in the way of the gear shift. However, the boot is the biggest here, but the small opening actually hampers loading, though you can fold the rear seats down to carry larger items. Space in the back seats is better than the Audi, but still pretty bad considering how big this car is on the outside, and the hidden ISOFIX anchor points make it a bit hard to fit a child seat. It's much easier to install one in the BMW, and overall, the 2 Series is the least compromised car here. The back seats are just about fine for adults, in-car storage is plentiful, and the boot a reasonable enough size and has a larger opening so it's easier to load than the Ford. But then, that's not why you buy one of these cars. They're all about the driving experience.
So this Audi TT, it's the all-weather, everyday, every man and every woman sports car. And, you know, if you just want to cruise around, it's very easy to live with. This guy's reasonably comfortable, it's nice and easy to drive. It's a bit like a Golf at times, but, you know, it doesn't look like one, it looks absolutely cool. And when you want to enjoy the performance, you really can. You put your foot down in this car and it just takes off. It's got a really agile, responsive chassis. And with a 4-wheel drive system, it just grips and it goes, no matter if it's pouring with rain or it's bone dry. Not many cars that give this performance and deliver a claimed 40 miles per gallon either, but this one does, though if I look down at the trick computer, I'm actually only averaging, well, just over 31 miles per gallon, but still. This car, it's down on power compared to the other two, but you don't really notice it in the real world. In fact, I think I can drive this thing faster, especially on unfamiliar roads, than I can in the Mustang or the BMW. That's just the way it is, and it's still really good fun. Thing is though, I reckon that lots of people can drive it quite easily, nice and quickly, and so in some ways you feel that your skill doesn't matter all that much. Some people like that. Some people like to be challenged.
So how does the BMW measure up?
This M235i is a happy midpoint between the civil Audi TT and the bombastic Ford Mustang. Now I should point out that the car I'm driving here is fitted with the optional 8-speed automatic gearbox, and it does bump up the price a bit to over the £35,000 budget. So it's 6-cylinder engine, it's got plenty of performance, and while it doesn't sound quite as fruity as the V8 in the Mustang, it's certainly more charismatic than the 4-cylinder unit in the Audi TT. And the thing is, out in the real world, you'll still get similar economy. So the trick computer's saying 32 miles per gallon. It's not too bad, and I can certainly live with that. And I can certainly live with how this car handles. So it still has a hairy-chested front-engine rear-drive coupe feel to it, and your skill does matter with how this car drives, and you can feel it moving around beneath you. Yeah, it's not totally leery, that you can't live with it every day, and because it's quite a small car, it's actually really easy to drive in town. On the whole, I think this is a really nice rounded sports car. Almost does everything you need.
And finally, we come to the Mustang.
The Mustang is the biggest car here, and when you drive them back to back, it's the one that leaves the biggest impression. Obviously, it's dominated by that 5-litre engine, which, well, it goes like stink, and as you probably just heard, makes the best noise for sure. And unlike Mustangs of old, you know, this thing actually handles. It's a really good fun car to drive. Probably lacks the precision of the Germans, but yeah, on the whole, I actually think it's a little bit more enjoyable. I'm getting a bit more from it. Now, if I was going to have this as a second car, or I was only ever going to do a few miles, then yeah, I think no brainer, I'd take this for sure. It just leaves the biggest impression, like I said, and it's such an experience. The problem is, it's a costly experience. So I'm averaging 18 miles per gallon. And also there's something about it, like driving on our tiny British roads, you just feel like a bit of a knob.
So where does that leave us? Which of these cars is the best buy?
The Audi TT, it's sharp, it's efficient, it's desirable. The Ford Mustang V8, it's a big-hearted, leery loon which will put hairs on your chest. However, it's the BMW M235i with its excellent blend of a lovely engine, a fun rear-wheel drive chassis, surprising practicality and acceptable running costs, which is actually the best all-round sports coupe here, and that's why it wins this test. If you click over there, you can watch in-depth individual video reviews of each of the cars in this test. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it and subscribe to our channel.